Okay, this is part two of the chaos of Case of Death. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about. I know that are listening to this, a couple of people or whatever, like you're thinking, like, what the fuck is he talking about, man? What film is he on about? But I just like to rant sometimes about, there's loads of people on YouTube, there's thousands of people on YouTube talking and they're just nattering and they're just talking and stuff like that. You know, and some of them are great at speaking and putting things across, and they have great ways of talking about stuff and everything. But I have noticed as well that a lot of them don't do nothing though to do with movies, right? So, like, to take on any kind of film with your own funds and stuff is not for everyone. It's like I didn't even know why I even do it sometimes. It's just like, well, I'm not making any money from any of this, but I can't really explain it. But anyway, so Case of Death, one of the things I left out earlier on when I was talking about the car stuff and stuff to do with that was that there was a sound guy in the back of the car with us with David Green the whole time as well. So it was kind of like, and especially when we were in the small blue car with Thomas Leggett. Thomas Leggett is the main star in the film, if you want to call it a star, or the protagonist in the film, or everything unfolds through him, everything shifts through him, and so when we're in the small blue car, which is what he was driving through the film in the bits and pieces of the movie, and the final part is in this horrible blue, crappy, cheap ass fucking Micra that I bought for like €350 years ago, and it's gone now. I put it into the dump. It's gone. Right. So, but yeah, everything changes and shifts through Thomas Leggett in the movie. He's the real catalyst for change through the whole movie. Everyone else is really in the movie. Once you see it, is kind of like Thomas Leggett, his character Barry Conway. He's greedy beyond belief. He's just like Ebenezer Scrooge times 20, right? So, but he's honest with himself in the film. The character's honest with himself. He's honest with as he starts to open up about himself and starts to be aware of himself. And you can see that through the film in different parts, 2 or 3 parts, 4 parts really, where you can see him kind of like seeing himself. And the other characters in the movie don't really do that. Everyone else is kind of like living their own. Everyone else has their own delusion going on, even if you think that they're innocent, but they're not. If you look at them, they're kind of like they have their own, not innocent, but like they have their own flaws and their own hang-ups and their own crutches. How they're dealing with reality. They have like there's one woman. I won't go into the whole thing, right? But one of the things I wanted to talk about is Thomas Leggett, who was in the film. I think that he done such a good job in the movie, and I wasn't that sure at the start, and even as time went by and stuff, that now that the film is coming to a completion, and I can see the film as it is, he done a marvelous job in the film. I haven't seen everything that he's done, his catalog of work, right? But from what the bits and pieces that I've seen, he's been in series on TV. He's been in Peaky Blinders a couple of times, I think, or once. He had a small scene with Killian Murphy, and we were laughing because he showed me the scene, right? And he went all the way over to London to do a small scene with Killian Murphy. He's very small, right? And I was taking the piss. I was saying, look, couldn't you just turn your head a tiny bit so they could see your face? Because the angle, so kind of like, but he probably didn't have control over that. But he's a fine actor. Thomas Leggett is a fine actor, man. I think he would have done. I think he's retired now. He's not really he's doing something else now. He's not, as far as I know, he's not doing too much to do with acting and stuff. But he's a damn fine actor. He was great in Case of Death, and I was surprised how it kind of grew on me in time watching the performance and watching the film. He did a fine job in the movie, and apart from that, he's actually one of the nicest guys I ever met. He's a lovely guy. I stay in touch with him every now and then. We'll talk every now and then and stuff. But he's probably one of the only people that I've done movies with that I stay or like to stay in touch with every now and then. He's such a good guy. But he done great work on the film. He really kind of like, because it all hinged on him. It didn't hinge really on anyone else. Everyone was deluded in the film. Everyone has their little delusion or their small crutch that they're trying to deal with reality with. Like that's his wife is like, oh, she's obsessed with the dog, or the woman that does the aura cleansing. She's kind of thinks that like a bit of smoke is going to change someone. you know, so kind of like everyone has their delusion and they don't know they have a delusion. Right? When we have a delusion, we don't know that we have it, right? When we have a greed, we don't know that we have it. When we have things that we're covering, we don't know that we have it unless we start being aware. So that's really what the film is really about. And it's about the importance of connection with the people that you're close with, family and stuff like that. That's what it's about, and having a real value with the connection between the people that have been there for you in your life. Not people that are family so much, just people that have been there in tough times. And they showed themselves to be true in them tough times, which people don't really understand a lot of the time. It's when you're down and out and things are going not great for you that people usually, they run, right? So that's really what the film is really about, and it did hinge on Thomas Leggett's performance in the movie. And like I said a minute ago, he done a damn fine job in the film. I think that he would have done a lot better in movies and series and stuff like that if he may have had a bit more of a kind of like hard-nosed attitude towards certain things. Maybe because any kind of business, the movie business, TV business, it's going to be ruthless in so many ways, right? But you can't take it away from him that he is a really good actor and he did a really good job in Case of Death. And I think that even though I haven't seen a lot of his other work, bits and pieces of things, I think that this is the best thing that he's been in. I think that he did such a good job in it, and it's subtle in so many ways. It was subtle as well, and it wasn't only him that did a good job. Everyone did a good job in the film. Everyone, but especially Thomas Leggett, because he had to carry the whole film, and he carried the whole film. Indeed, he certainly did, and I think that it may be the film that kind of like that I think that he was really probably better than anything that he's been in. I think he's really, really good in it, man. And sometimes as well, when you're kind of like, when because I'm just making short films driving a truck with money from driving a truck, right? So there's a lot of sometimes when that happens, when you're working with someone like that, it's like we're all in it together. There's not like, oh, I'm the director and do this and do that. I looked at all of it as you try and do all of it as much as you can, but we're all in it together. I need everyone to work well for the film to work well. And looking at the film, it works because of what he done in the film. Not only him, but especially him. So yeah, so it was chaos. There was loads of times where there was chaos inside the blue car. It was like being trapped in a submarine going under the water sometimes. And we're there flying along. There's me and Thomas and in the front, and there's cameras everywhere. There's lights everywhere. There's a sound guy in the back. The sound guy's about 6'4", and he's fucking in this tiny crappy blue Micra, and I remember one time getting out because I was trying to film. We got out and I was like nauseously sick when I got out of the car because we were in there for about 40 minutes, 50 minutes trying to get footage and trying to get this and trying to get that. And surprisingly, so much that what we shot is not in the film because it shot so much footage you would not believe. But a lot of it had to be reconstructed afterwards because some of the dialogue wasn't needed. It was better just to have it as minimalistic as possible, even though in this film there's more dialogue than any film I've ever done. It's really dialogue heavy, but it could have been way more if I left a lot of the other stuff, the other dialogue and stuff in. So I try to take out as much as I could as well because I like to show things through looks and through expressions and just little nuances that the actors can do and the way they can look, where their eyes can look and stuff like that. I like to tell the story that way instead of just relying on the dialogue parts and we're saying this is what happens. If you do it the other way, it comes across more realistic to me anyway, instead of just relying on the dialogue. So yeah, so that's that.